Hi, 104. Let me see if everything is working. Looks like it. Okay. All right. So we are at 1,704 days since Richard was premeditatedly, treasonously, systematically um, removed from his barracks and in the line of duty. They took his life. They took his life for reporting. He was a whistleblower, and he was reporting the cartel tied criminal trafficking that was going on Fort Bliss. And it was very bad. It was very bad. And, we had a post on Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, who needs to lose his uniform. He needs to. That that's not his uniform. That's our uniform. Those are our stripes. He has betrayed us. We need them back, right? All the benefits, everything. And then he needs to be court martialed. And that post, last time I looked, I think it was near 1.3 million views. It might be more now because it's been like a day since I looked at it. And we've been very busy behind the scenes because so much is happening. Not only you would think, oh, you get a post for 1.3 million views while it's shadow banned, so let's double that, right? Maybe it's too close to 3 million views. Um, and you're a day goes by when you're not even looking at it. Um, but it's so much is happening. So much is happening right now that is so important. And it has to do with the Walmart case. And of course, if you have been keeping up with our son's case, you absolutely know that for a long, long time, and we have been mocked over and over again for it, but we have been right all along. And there's a lot of ties that we are not at liberty to tell you, um, because this case is so big. But we have said that Richard's case is tied to the Walmart mass shooting. And we can tell you that one of those ties, 3905 Bliss Avenue, which we have shouted at, and that's enough. That's really enough. 3905 Bliss Avenue, 3705 Bliss Avenue with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, which, I really want to say that um, what was her family doing with Richard's credit cards after he had been, when he was no more alive, right? When he wasn't alive anymore, what was her family doing with that? And these ties so are huge. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. So thank you so much. There are, multiple ties with Richard's case with the Walmart mass shooting and Walmart mass shooting case. And we have made it clear over and over again that our evidence confirms that Richard's case was before the Walmart mass shooting. The Walmart mass shooting happened on August 3rd, 2019. That means that he had files at the CID because of his whistleblowing, because uh, there were audits and investigations going on Fort Bliss because of Halliday. Okay, because of Halliday. And the Walmart mass shooting came after Richard became a whistleblower. That's very really important for the timeline for everyone to understand because it reveals that the CID office there in Fort Bliss was well aware of who Richard Halliday was, that they already had a file on him. Okay. And the Walmart mass shooting then becomes a little bit clearer because if Richard had the wind at his back as a whistleblower before the Walmart mass shooting case, that means that the Trump administration was the ones that gave it the wind, right? Gave it the audits, gave it the investigations. It was, and we see the difference. Just what a few months makes, right? 5 months ago compared to now, you see the difference that a few months make. We have the Sinaloa cartel designated as the Big T organization. We have U.S. aid, which is very important to this whole case as funding um, so many of these NGOs and media. We have the ending of public, what is it, NPR. This is hitting Angela Kacherga very hard. Um, for and she's up to no good, right? So that is a very good thing. Um, and go on and on and on about what a difference just a few months make. And so, we can't see into the future. We don't know. We have been, we just knew it was the right thing to do to fight for our son, um, to get to the truth of it all. That we knew that when we received the autopsies and um, witness reports from DES Thomas Kane and from the DHS, really Department of State, because he was liaison to the Department of State, Jaime Corona, and of course, Nadal Baim, and others, right? When we got those, that all that information and pieced it together and everything, clearly, um, Richard's remains were very disrespected and violently, and they had to hide him in multiple places. And why did he do that? What was the motive for that? Well, it was Vanessa Guillen's case. Vanessa Guillen's case was a huge motive to make sure that um, that they would uh, get rid of evidence, because there was really pressure with the Vanessa Guillen case. You had high officials absolutely getting fired. And then, of course, you had President Trump in office. Um, and, of course, under so much retaliation. Because, first and foremost, and I want to make this clear every time, and I don't think I make it clear as much as I should. That's why I wear this red hat, because I want people to understand, not not because we are uh, blind followers or anything like that. We're not. We're not. We are absolutely going to hold President Trump's feet to the fire as the President of the United States to get us justice for our son because he is the commander in chief. We're absolutely going to do that. Um, and we're very grateful for what he's done so far and what he's up against. We absolutely understand what he's up against, and we want to make it the deep state. The deep state is pretty powerful, y'all, and pretty wealthy, so they can buy a lot and buy a lot of people for you know um, to be up to no good. I got to be very careful how I say everything because you know you don't want to get strikes, right? You don't want to get strikes. So, um, getting back to um, my train of thought is everywhere. My train of thought is everywhere because it's at the Walmart mass shooting. And we want to make it very, very clear that the number one target of the Walmart mass shooting was President Trump. Okay? Was President Trump. And, I'm not, and I think I've said this before, he became number 47. But absolutely it's the evidence that absolutely yells it that the false narratives that we know now are false narratives, right? We had Joe Spencer yesterday saying that, repeating the audios that we have on him, right? So he was absolutely claiming those audios to be valid, to be authentic, and they are authentic. And we were very grateful to get those audios because it confirmed and corroborated what we know to be true, that Patrick Crusius is autistic. He has a severe mental health condition that he has had since he was a young boy. Um, and this is the breaking news. This is the breaking news. With that revelation, and remember, Bob Moore mocked us for saying it, mocked us for even questioning, mocked us for being Americans, right? Americans with free speech. That's what I mean about mocking us for being Americans. To question the judicial process, to question the investigation, to question general leadership, to question um, anything is Americana. We do not march um, the goose, what is it, the goose step? We do not march the goose step. We're all for esprit de corps. We're all for an army of one. But we're not Borgs. We're not machine. We're allowed to question, to ask. And Bob Moore mocked us for that about Patrick Crusius being autistic and even came on a live stream to do that. And so now we have confirmation by Patrick Crusius's own defense attorney, Joe Spencer. And he has known this. He has known um, because, as Loretta Lynn Hewitt, the prosecutor for a time period, revealed in a hearing, there is long childhood records. And all you have to do is talk to some of his neighbors. Um, and of course, uh, Joe Spencer needs to request Patrick Crusius's school records, but absolutely just by talking to him, just by being around. I mean, just by watching him on the videos, I absolutely red flags went up and I was like, "Oh my gosh, he has autism." That's that's what it seemed to me. And now it's been confirmed. And um and Joe Spencer knew that back in August of 2019. He knew that. He knew that he confirmed yesterday that he had lied to the federal court. Now, he didn't say, I confess to lying to the federal court. He didn't say that. He said, um, he repeated that he, on the, 2 days after Patrick Crusius, um, when he met Patrick Crusius, he said, hi, my name is Joe Spencer. And just because my name's Spencer doesn't, I'm Hispanic. My ASS is 100% brown, right? My ASS is 100% brown. And do you have a problem with that? And, Patrick Crusius is like, I don't have any racism. So, he knew 2 days after, but he knew, you know, any good defense lawyer will say, wait a minute, my client surrendered twice. Well, he surrendered twice, y'all. And the picture that you see him in surrendering the second time is to a Hispanic police officer, right? It's it's to a Hispanic officer. And come on. And then you would say, okay, where's the evidence? His shoes look clean, his pants look clean, his shirt looks clean. You're saying that he committed these crimes with hate-filled rage, point blank, and yet his shoes are clean, his pants are clean, his t-shirt's clean, and he's surrendering minutes afterwards to a Hispanic officer, and he only used one clip in his, well, I don't know the weapons, AR whatever, AR-47, is that what it is? Anyway, um, but one clip, I mean, it's the most ridiculous narrative. And then they go years and years and years where they don't want to give you the forensics. They don't want to give you the forensics, like, at the outside part of Walmart, the forensics that happened in the mall, in Cielo Vista Mall, the forensics that happened inside, and then, you know, uh, it is very interesting that Joe Spencer was allowed to do so many violations, and it rises to, really, I can't name other criminals that have done the harm that Joe Spencer has done. And this is a breaking news that Joe Spencer, knowing all of this, never sought to have the state conduct a mental health evaluation on Patrick Crusius. At no time did Joe Spencer seek to have a mental health evaluation done by the state. At no time did Joe Spencer request a mental health evaluation done by the state, conducted by the state, knowing that he was facing the death penalty, knowing that he was facing 90 life sentences in the Alcatraz of the Rockies, the very high secured prison, knowing that victims wanted answers. He never requested a mental health evaluation of his client, knowing that he has severe mental health conditions. Now that's just egregious. And then he allows the stories about white supremacy and just hate to be propagated. And then when things get heated years in, right? He parades Patrick Crusius, who has lost so much weight, right? He parades and we all need to pray for Patrick Crusius's life. Okay? We need to pray for his life because so many people and look, if he was part of this, and of course he was part of this, and he gets 7,000 years in the Alcatraz of the Rockies. Okay, if he's part of this and they want to keep that going, right? After, some kind of, I think they need, I don't know. The evidence is so clear that there's been such an injustice done here. And that I really feel like shooters, people that um, participated in this are still at large. And because of politics, they don't want you to say it. They're playing politics. Sorry. With this whole thing. And so Joe Spencer yesterday just validated the audios, but he also confessed to lying to Judge Guadarrama. And Judge Guadarrama has his own problems, right? But Joe Spencer absolutely facilitated the guilty plea for 90 consecutive life sentences for hate crime. For hate crime, which the foundation of that or the basis for that hate crime was a lie. Was a lie. So, everything is so stinky in this. And why is this important to Richard's case? Because Richard's case is tied to this. When this and I think it's happening. I think it's just cracking everywhere, right? Um, this it's just cracking everywhere. Because I think that Joe Spencer has been absolutely exposed. I don't think he has anywhere to go. Who is he going to go to? Judge Guadarrama. Judge Guadarrama has his own problems. Who is he going to go to? James Montoya. James Montoya has his own problems. Mr. 2028. Judge Guadarrama has Michael Mayella, Michael Mayella Jr. Um, Blake Crucius. And where is I just don't see Joe Spencer. Who is he going to go to? Bob Moore? Because Bob Moore is really um his I almost want to say partner in crime. Can I say that? Partner in crime? Because Bob Moore is the media and has the money behind him to spread as a force multiplier to other outlets his false stories. And those false stories, what he wrote about Richard, absolutely a false story, misleading people. Um, and the false stories about Patrick Crusius, where he is still not reporting correctly, still trying to smear Patrick Crusius in a false way. If you're going to say that Patrick Crusius was involved in all of this, okay, you can say Patrick Crusius was involved in all of this. He surrendered himself, right? But let's ask Blake Crusius. Let's ask Michael Mayella Jr. Let's ask Jonathan Ambrose. Let's ask Dallas Hart. Let's ask Ernest Christopher Grant. Um, right? Let's ask those that, you know, um, I would think would have information. And who profited off of this? I mean, they organized this, and even with the slogan, the media put together a slogan, El Paso strong, right? El Paso strong, and which is a good slogan, right? But you see that's what like a producer does. Like there was a producer involved in this. And we're talking about people getting killed. We're talking about the division of El Paso. We're talking about lying to the public, meaning the international public, everybody. We're talking about the division between uh, countries, between Mexico and the United States. And I would even say Germany and the United States, because Alexander Gerhard Hofmann was German. And, I read the German articles. I saved the German articles. Some of them are hard to find now, but I saved them. But, it's just, it gives the United States a very bad light. And then to have this to go on and on and on just because Joe Spencer wants an open checkbook from the taxpayers, because that's what that form was where Patrick Crusius signed Pat C. That was that form. That form that was signed Pat C on August 4th, 2019, and was approved, where he claims he has 000 income, 000 000. There wasn't one farthing, not a half a penny, not anything on that paper that he had. Yet he had gas, he had a car, he had car insurance, he had Wi-Fi, he had a computer, he supposedly purchased his weapon online. He had a very nice apartment in San Antonio. Uh, you know, he had a shirt on his back, shoes on his feet, and he went in and bought an orange. Yet on the application for a appointed lawyer, right? For an appointed um, lawyer, it's 000 000. And so when that got approved, then Joe Spencer says, I want an open checkbook from the taxpayers. The taxpayers have to give me an open checkbook. And now years and years, and he got it. And we would like to know how much he got. I think Doge wants to know how much he got for years and years and years of lying to us about his autism and his mental health conditions, lying to us about how he felt about people, stoking division with this white supremacy that did not apply, hate filled that did not apply. I mean, if he was hate filled, why would he walk up twice? Oh, go back, don't come back until a few we got a few more minutes, Patrick. Oh, okay. I'll come back. And come back. Okay. I'm ready to be surrendered to just don't be too rough with me. Oh, we won't even read your rights. We won't even bag your hands. You're going to be taken care of now. Um and I don't know if that was said. I'm just, it's just all so ridiculous when you see it. When you see the pictures, it's true that they didn't bag his hands. It's true they didn't read him his rights. It's true that he went in and bought an orange. It's true that he surrendered twice. It's true that Joe Spencer lied to us from the beginning about his mental health condition and his autism. It's true that Joe Spencer absolutely let the white supremacy fly through and let it be all disseminated out about his own client. That's not true. While the Maielas are planning a wedding with the Cruciuses, in the federal courthouse. While Maella Jr. is in the um, with Jaime Esparza. Jaime Esparza has his own problems too. Is Joe Spencer going to go to Jaime Esparza? I think he only can go to Bob Moore. Bob Moore is the one that's continuing to just prop this nonsense up, prop this false story up. And he's a 501c3. So who's going to hold him accountable? I mean, the IRS, let's say if you did that, if I did that, the IRS would be all over us. Why is Bob Moore, getting this treatment and you know, turning away and not even looking at him. And of course, we see that that's what's going on because he's still printing this nonsense. He's still publishing the nonsense. Have any friends, coworkers, peers of Patsy been interviewed or questioned to validate his hate crime or income? Yes, he was working at, I think it was Cinemart. I think that's what it was for a little bit. Um, And yes, Loretta Lynn Hewitt, her notes were taken away from her. Her notebooks were taken away from her. You can go and look, and it's even on our site, Olga. You can look on our site about Loretta Lynn Hewitt's hearing testimony, where she went to Patrick Crucius's neighbors and talked to them and said that he was banging his head on the sidewalk outside when he was 3 years old. He was known to have this severe autism, that he failed kindergarten, that when he was in special ed, he was put into like a corner or a special spot in the room because he would get frustrated and he would just start hitting himself and everything. He couldn't participate even in special ed class. Um, you know, on and on. And absolutely, um, he's a twin. He's a twin. And so, where is his family? They have mitigating evidence. They knew this all along, too. They knew this all along. And, you know, Bob Moore, you think that he would come on and apologize for mocking us when we said, you know what, I think he has autism. Something is not right. And then when you go to Judge Guadarrama's ruling on that paper, it says that he has a severe mental health condition. He did cover that on the sentencing paperwork. I remember reading it for myself. So, as far as income goes, Patrick Wood Crucius comes from a very well-to-do family connected to El Paso. The whole narrative that he was not connected to El Paso is absolutely a lie. His brother was marrying the El Paso Federal Courthouse manager's daughter. They were in a relationship. And, you know, they're married. It's and the brother Michael Mayella Jr. was Walmart security, working with Jaime Esparza in the DA's office because he is an award-winning hacker, an award-winning computer hacker. That's not me making it up, you know. And I'm thinking he scrubbed it, but I took the screenshots. You can go on and look it up, but you can, maybe he didn't scrub it, but you know, he's an award-winning hacker and he was working for Walmart security. What? Because look at the picture that we have of Patrick Crucius. There's no shells in the background, and don't forget that what was his name? Um, he had the nickname that was shot right outside of the entrance of it, right? So there should be shells in the background. Uh, you know, and there's a getaway car. We know that there's a getaway car. Um, we know that the timing of everything is not right. We have several articles, uh, you know, that are out there that are very good that we posted. Maybe I should repost those. They're very good. Well, one from Medium is an amazing article. I think he should get an award. The writer, I'm sure he got retaliated against for writing it, but it is like an amazing article. And um, I will push for him to get an award one day if I can, because it's very important for the truth to get out. And he had the courage to try to get the truth out. You can go on Medium. I should post it um, again, but yeah. So the information is out there that Patrick Cruciate, you know, because the whole, you know, what taxpayers want to know is how much was spent, and you know, it was over 30 million in 2023. So there's been an enormous amount of money spent on the Walmart mass shooting case, and of course on Richard Halliday's case. Enormous amount. And you know, so uh and every time there is this fraud, waste, and abuse with these open checkbooks and everything like that, you know, we just trust our leadership to have good stewardship, right? But they don't. They don't. And they've put us in this big mess. where they have to print the money, and then we have to suffer for the inflation and the high car prices and the high housing prices and the high fuel prices and everything like that, because all of those are taxed to pay for the debt, right? All the taxes have to go to pay the interest on the debt and the debt. Um, and so, and we don't uh, realize that. And if you're not into economics or how the whole system works, then you really don't understand it. Um, and, I don't think that all of us have to or should have to understand it. We pay enough for oversight, but our oversight has been compromised. We pay enough for our government to take care of it for us. And we trust them to have that good stewardship, and then we have the checks and balances, but that's all been compromised. And Joe Spencer seems like he played right into it, like Luther Jones. I don't know if you knew Luther Jones, but I posted that article up, and Luther Jones absolutely weaponized the system for his favor, for his pocketbook, at the cost of victims and the public. So they absolutely did that with the Walmart case. There's no doubt in my mind. And the target was President Trump. They do not want him to be president because they want an open border because of their criminal trafficking billions of dollars. And, they don't, to me, if you're into that criminal trafficking for billions of dollars, then you don't care about any migrants. You don't care about them. They're just pawns. And I've said that for a long time. If you're on here, that they're going to use the migrants badly, and I think that they have. Look at the children. The children are mostly dead. They're mostly dead. And there are hundreds of thousands of them. And now we see in Mexico that there are these camps, these death camps, literally with the, um, what do you call those? Anyway, the ovens, it's late. It's midnight. Um, crematoriums or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, this is very important. It is, and I want to be really upbeat, because uh, Joe Spencer can only really go to Bob Moore, and Bob Moore is a really disgraced um, individual. He really is. I can't even call him a journalist because he's not. He is absolutely a political attack dog, or an agenda, right? Dog. He is working to facilitate a certain agenda, and he's doing that at taxpayers' expense. And he can do an agenda, that's fine, but not at taxpayers' expense. And that's why this whole USAID is so important, because you have these NGOs, they have a certain agenda, and they're doing it at taxpayers' expense. And that is part of Richard's case too. That's for another day. But today is huge because of Joe Spencer, um, absolutely confessing, which I never thought he would ever do that, but confessing that Patrick Crusius, yes, is autistic and severe mentally has severe mental health condition, and also that he is not a white supremacist, he's not a racist. And that means that he lied to the federal court and facilitated the guilty plea for Patrick Crusius for the ADX, which is the Alcatraz of the Rockies, for almost 7,000 years, 90 consecutive life sentences for hate crimes. For hate crimes. Something is very stinky and something is very wrong. So, uh, thank you so much. Yes, please repost it so we can share. I will. As soon as I get off the live stream, I will post it. It's a very good article. Um, it's from Medium. It's on Medium. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. God bless you. Thank you for sharing and the sharing. And I really want to stress this. That million views, those shares, and Olga, thank you so much. Anicia, thank you so much. Danielle, thank you so much for all the sharing. We are a country of the people, by the people, for the people. And it is, I can tell you, social media that is really the news today because Bob Moore is working for somebody at, well, El Paso Matters, which is El Paso Community Foundation. We have a real problem with the legacy media today giving us the truth. And so the truth comes through you from sharing and asking questions. And you can ask me any question. You can ask me any question in these chats. I will do my utmost to answer them as authentically and honestly as I can. What they did to Richard is absolutely, something that you can never, ever, ever allow to happen. And it was on our military base. And this is a national security, this is international. And so for you to share is very, very important. And we are very, very grateful. So thank you for liking and sharing and commenting. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Thank you. Bye bye.